Continues to trickle in out of the combine. Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta said he's definitely confident a contract extension can be reached with Lamar Jackson. What support does Jackson need more next season? Let's dive into what we think he needs next year. D. Wood, what fascinates you about the 2026 version of Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens?
Yeah, I just look at the relationship between Lamar Jackson and their new offensive play caller, 29-year-old Declan Doyle. This is his first time calling plays in the National Football League. We know the Ravens trying to work out a deal. Like, is Lamar Jackson going to show up to, like, the offseason program, OTAs, minicamps?
Historically, he has not.
Right. So I think that relationship, that's where it's going to start. So it'll be interesting to see how that gets going.
You know, we had a conversation earlier this morning, Dominique, about the clout that Josh Allen now seems to have in Buffalo. Is the situation in Baltimore similar with Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, I don't think he has quite as much as Josh Allen because of, like, the respect that I think Ozzie Newsome and DeCosta still have there, but he's getting close to it. And I think kind of the new free agency for big-time quarterbacks is this year in particular, like the balloon year of the cap hit. He has a $75 million cap hit. He obviously has the ability to tell the team to do just about anything right here, because if he were a true free agent, they could franchise him or something like that. But with this huge cap hit, they can't do much with the rest of the roster unless they bring that number down, which will require Lamar to agree to an extension. So he has all the power and leverage. Not that he wants to exercise it, but if there's something that he wants done, he can make it happen with that cap, threatening that cap hit to use it or to not extend to lower that hit.
We've been extremely accustomed to seeing Lamar Jackson and the Ravens winning everything there is to win in the regular season. Last year, obviously, for a variety of reasons, Harry, it didn't go right. They looked bad. He was hurt. He didn't look himself. Do you expect a full bounce-back treatment for the Ravens this year with the new coach?
Oh, 1,000%. I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this season. The best offseason
really? That's
move.
Your early pick. I haven't been here in a week, so I haven't heard you say that. This minute, you like the Ravens.
And it's because the best offseason move, in my opinion, was Jesse Minter coming back to that organization. Jesse Minter, as a defensive coordinator when he was with the Los Angeles Chargers, were able to find diamonds in the rough. It's a thing when you have the ability to help develop players and get the best out of those guys playing high-level football. Jesse Minter taking over this defense, back as the play caller, back as the overseer, I think it's going to put the Baltimore Ravens to win the AFC.
I will remind everybody, you were way ahead on the Denver Broncos. You were the one who said they were going to win that division months before last season started. So maybe you'll be right about this one as well. Let me go the AFC North, stay in the division with the Browns general manager Andrew Berry indicating that Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson will be among those competing to be the starter next season. Obviously, they've had a lot of things going on there in Cleveland, and they have 2 first-round picks. Do we like, Dominique, the approach that they are taking? Deshaun, Shedeur, let them fight it out for the starting job in Cleveland.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. It's a very unusual quarterback room because could you imagine for a second that Deshaun Watson wins? He's in the last year of his deal also with an $85 million cap hit. If he wins and plays well, now you're signing Deshaun Watson to an extension to be one of the higher paid quarterbacks in the league. Like, I don't understand putting yourself in a situation where that's something that you would sign up for going forward. And then you have Shedeur with all the attention that comes with that. And presumably, if things don't go well, they're drafting another quarterback next year. The quarterback room in Cleveland is the most unusual and interesting one that I think we've had in the league in a long time.
So, yeah, look, I mean, the Deshaun Watson story is about so many things that have nothing to do with football, and they're extremely unpleasant. So much so that it feels like a different lifetime that we were talking about him as one of the genuinely great quarterbacks in the entire league, and he's still a lot younger than people. He was in the same draft class as Patrick Mahomes, so he's certainly not old. Is there a world in which Deshaun Watson recaptures some of that magic, and D. Wood reminds us all that he was at one point on a trajectory to being a very high-level player?
I just find it hard to believe. Last time we saw Deshaun Watson be good was like 2020. That's like a lifetime ago.
Right.
If you're talking about, in the National Football League. And may I remind people that all 5 starting linemen with the Cleveland Browns are free agents.
Is that a problem?
That is a huge problem.
Yeah.
Like, so as much as we talk about Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders, they have no offensive line in front of them right now. So Cleveland has his work cut out for it.
Yeah, go ahead, Harry.
I do like the fact that you're going to allow these guys to compete against one another and may the best man win. For Shedeur Sanders, it is about, though, in your second year, they want to see growth. You know, understanding a system, it's a new one, but the guy that's the head coach who potentially is going to call plays is a guy that wanted you in Baltimore. So just go in there, show that growth, understand the offense in and out, and go try to win this job. But I agree with Nick. If Deshaun Watson wins this job and balls out, that's a whole nother thing that you have to deal with if you're the Cleveland Browns.
Go ahead, Nick, finish it up.
Yeah, I just don't know that you want to be in a situation where you're making that decision. I think that the best possible thing is to go into this year with Shedeur Sanders as your starter, give him every chance possible to win that job, and then at the end of the year, then you're looking at next year's draft if it doesn't work out. If it does work out, then you're free of the Deshaun Watson contract. You have a young quarterback on a cheap contract, and you can try to build a winner.
Yeah, they've got the 2 first-round picks this year. It doesn't. The Raiders aren't giving up the first pick, so it doesn't feel like there's any real obvious move for them to make to change the quarterback there. I sort of agree with that. The Deshaun piece of it, I think, is fascinating just purely from a football perspective to see if there's still something left there, but I don't expect it any more than you do. We'll have much more football edges with plenty to say at the NFL Combine in Indy. The Raiders have the #1 overall pick. They are desperately in need of a quarterback. They're leaning on Tom Brady for that. The general manager, John Spytek, made it clear Brady isn't just a ceremonial minority owner. He's actively involved in this franchise-defining decision.
He's the best ever to do it, and so I think whoever the quarterback is that's playing for the Raiders has a unique opportunity to learn from the best. And, you know, Tom's got a lot of humility to him, and just because he did it a certain way, he doesn't have, you know, expectations that you do it all that way too, but there are some things that he's uncompromising on, and I think it's whoever the quarterback is for the Raiders, I think Tom is a great resource for them.
Dominique, your response.
I mean, I think they're made better by having access to Tom Brady, but the assumption that an all-time great, the all-time great, is a good coach or quarterback whisperer, I think is a little bit of a leap. We don't really have a history of, like, great players transitioning into being great mentors. And don't that man got a job? No, he got another job to do. He can't be raising quarterbacks.
He got like 6 other jobs to do. So depending on how much time he has to devote to this. I agree with what you're saying in principle, that historically, the all-time great players have not turned into all-time great coaches, and usually it's because they had all-time great skill sets, and their coaching is generally, well, why can't you just do what I did? The thing about Brady, though, and you played with him, is that he seems a little different. He wasn't great because he was so ridiculously talented. He was great because of his understanding of the game and his work ethic and his discipline. So maybe some of that is transferable if he can try and mentor a young player.
Oh, there's no question about it. Are you going to also bring along Bill Belichick as your guy to help develop you as a quarterback as well? And listen, I think having Tom Brady in your corner, that's a plus, but there's a lot of differences between what the Raiders are going through and what Tom Brady and the Patriots were at that point in time.
Well, that's why I say a very small portion of Tom Brady should be involved. You never want to undercut the guy that you just hired as your head coach, Clint Kubiak, who's also going to be your play caller. So give those guys an opportunity to actually coach the #1 overall pick, which looking like it's going to be Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah, that's fair. Coaching him, Brady is not going to coach him, but I think Brady's presence, I actually, in this case, all kidding aside, think that done properly, it could be beneficial to a young quarterback just to see what the ultimate pro looks like in up close and personal. Let me get to another quarterback situation, and that would be with the Houston Texans. The GM, Nick Caserio, sharing notable insights amid all trade speculation surrounding their quarterback, C.J. Stroud.
He's our quarterback. Like, he ain't going anywhere. We have a lot of confidence, a lot of belief. I mean, I'd say the philosophy that D'Amico and I have, we're going to support our players and do everything we can to kind of help them.
It's moronic. Like, we're not trading a guy. He's our quarterback. So he's going to be playing quarterback for the Houston Texans in 2026. So anything beyond that, I mean, again, like, that's your world. You guys can speculate on that, but we're not trading C.J. Stroud.
Okay, so that's exactly the right thing for him to say, Dominique. Is it the right thing for them to be thinking, that it is moronic, the idea that they would be considering any change at quarterback coming off what was a disaster, obviously, in that playoff game in New England?
Yeah, I think it's the absolute right way to approach things with C.J. Stroud right now. The only question would be if you were going to move on to him, to who would be the other quarterback. And Davis Mills is on the roster, who they won some games with. But when you watch these two quarterbacks play, you can see that the ceiling is much higher. The things that C.J. Stroud is capable of doing is much more impressive than Davis Mills. So there's no competition there, and there's no reason to move on from a quarterback who's shown you the ability to be a franchise quarterback, despite the fact that it got really ugly at the end last year.
You made an interesting point this morning, though, about Davis Mills and the possibilities in his future.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be teams that's going to be sniffing around trying to trade for Davis Mills because Davis Mills played well in C.J. Stroud's absence. So, from the Houston Texans perspective, how much will it take for you to for a team to pry Davis Mills, out of that organization, because we know what he meant to the Houston Texans last year.
Once upon a time, Davis Mills was the highest rated quarterback in his high school class. I mean, he has been on the radar a very long time and has had a lot of injury questions over the years. Go ahead, Harry.
Well, let me say this. If Davis Mills was the guy, they wouldn't have drafted C.J. Stroud second overall in 2023.
Right.
They've been to the playoffs the last 3 years. And, yes, I do agree with Casario. Like, this is moronic to think that a player of C.J. Stroud's caliber is going to be traded this offseason. Surround him with better pieces, better offensive line players, a better running back, probably a better tight end as well, more wide receivers, and then let's have this conversation next season.
Finish it up, Nick.
Yeah, I think Davis Mills being talked about is just evidence to a conversation we were having earlier about the best thing to benefit Josh Allen will be a great defense. I think that defense really buys whoever the quarterback is a lot of time to not have to push and not have to press. I think the issue with C.J. Stroud was in the playoffs, he started to press.
Let me get to one more from the Combine yesterday as we hear some of the quotes, and this is from the Jets head coach Aaron Glenn. He's going to take over the defensive play calling after a rough debut with the team. Here's what he had to say about his new responsibility yesterday.
To me, play calling is my superpower, really. Doing it for 4 years in Detroit, and, man, just look at the maturation of those 4 years of how we improved every year and how I improved as a play caller. I really miss doing that, and I think it's a huge part of helping us become the team that I see us become, the team that New Mood see us become, the team that Woody sees us becoming.
It's his superpower, D. Wood. So what obviously they just wanted to hold that in abeyance for a year.
Why you had to call on me on this one?
Superpower.
Listen,
a superpower.
It's his super. I will say this, man. The fact that you withheld your superpower while the team is getting his teeth kicked in, that's kind of bad, man. But I will say this, to Aaron Glenn's defense, his last year in Detroit, he did call one of the best defenses in the league. So
with a lot of guys hurt too.
Yeah, with a lot of guys hurt. So hopefully that superpower will matriculate through the whole roster, and this whole thing will be better than it was last year. Can they get an interception?
Could he intercept the pass?
Maybe he
could. His superpower be putting himself in the nickel corner?
Yeah, maybe.
And intercepting just one pass? Okay, it's his superpower, so I feel pretty good. It seems the entire league had the kryptonite for that last year. We'll see if that turns around. Coming up.